Hello everyone, welcome to this new episode of EggView. This is our first episode in year 2021 and I would like to wish all the viewers very happy new year and pray to God that 2021 would be far better than what 2020 was for you. So today we will be deliberating on a topic which has become very pronounced because of COVID. That's the food security. Before March 2020, according to Food and Agriculture Organization, there were close to 850 million people who were food insecure. We have seen because of COVID that number already crossing a billion. Now the challenge is that in another 20-25 years, we would be adding a humongous number of people, and by end of the century, that number would be close to 2 billion additional hungry stomachs to feed. The challenge has always been for humanity to grow sufficient food to take care of every individual residing on the planet Earth. We have gone through a lot of activities which enhanced the overall productivity of our farming sector. We have to understand that the agriculture has gone through various phases. From earlier 19th century, when we were using bullock carts and plows, we have moved where in 1960s we adopted green revolution, using artificial nutrients to enhance productivity. This also led to a lot of challenges related to food loss because of pest attacks. We also conquered that to a certain extent by bringing improved pesticides year on year. Later in the same century, we started working on improving our seeds, whether hybrid, GMO, or now the gene slicing. We have continuously improved the productivity provided by our seeds. Earlier part of this century, we also saw a lot of countries taking on mechanization so that to reduce the human labor and produce more per person. However, if we see past 50 years, the race between the food security and productivity has mostly been unsuccessful. That is the reason we are having close to 1 billion people who are food insecure today. Today, if you see a farmer, he is far more confused than what he was 15 years, 20 years, 30 years back. He believed in us when we said that green revolution will solve the problem. His cost of cultivation is continuously increasing. And the productivity because of green revolution is now saturated. We are deploying new digital technologies, which is the way forward. That's future of agriculture for our conventional farming. But we have to understand that we would be requiring 50% more land to cultivate to feed everyone by 2100, which looks a very difficult task if we continue the agriculture in a conventional manner with small improvement and enhancements. There is another area of agriculture which has evolved, which can produce far more food per acre of land than we can do in conventional farming. Here enters the concept of vertical farming, where the same piece of land is used to grow far more crop by creating vertical farms one above the other, this ensures that for the same amount of land, we would be able to produce far more. Typically, the technologies talked about are hydroponics, its evolved version aeroponics, and aquaponics. These new developments are giving confidence that we would be able to produce sufficient amount of food to feed everyone on the planet Earth. Now let's understand the origin of hydroponics. Scientifically, hydroponics was outcome of a research experiment done by Dr. Williams in 1920 in University of California, where he created a nutrient-supported ecosystem to cultivate crop without soil. He termed it hydroponics. Literally, hydroponic means hydro, that's water. Phonics means labor. So water doing labor to cultivate. Hydroponics is very simple concept, because when we talk about growing more food, we talk about photosynthesis. And photosynthesis is a simple equation where we say carbon dioxide plus water giving glucose and oxygen. That's what typically plant does. There is no mention of soil in it. So can we do soil-less farming where we can stack on top of each other multiple crops and produce far more amount of food with the same piece of land? Scientifically, we have been doing research for no more than a century on changing media to grow food. But if you see, even in history, hydroponics finds its root in early 600 BC, where in Babylon, the first hanging garden, which was actually a hydroponic system, was created. Water evaporates from top of the hill towards the bottom of the hill, flowing through different varieties of plant, nurturing each of them, was experimented. And it was a very successful experiment. Further, in CE 1100, in Mexico, the hydroponics was again tried by Aztecs. They created floating farms on top of lakes by creating boundaries and filling those boundaries with medium which included manure to animal waste, and started growing food on top of it. Each of these small farms were separated from each other with waterways in between. So historically also, hydroponics has been tried successfully centuries back. Now let us understand what are the different types of hydroponics. Then we'll talk about what value it brings on the table. The wick system. It's very simple, where you are having a growing medium which is connected by a basically nutrient reservoir, which are water and nutrients, and this wick keep on providing the plants with water and nutrient it require for growth. Second is water culture, where actually you are having floating plants and they absorb nutrient directly from the water, which is replenished again through a nutrient reservoir. The third way is drain and flow. Now drain and flow is a system where what you do is that continuously keep on moving water from one end to another, and this water is rich in nutrients which is absorbed by roots of the plant. Then there is drip system. In drip system, basically there is a medium in which you grow the plant, and through drip you provide nutrient rich water to the roots. Now the drip systems are both typically recovery based and non-recovery based. So whatever the additional water which trickle down the growing plate is replenished, added with nutrients, and again circulated back, and that is typically recovery based. And sometimes you let the water go, that is non-recovery based. Then we are having a new technology which is nutrient film technology, where there is a very thin film which acts as a medium, and the roots of plant absorb nutrient to that film. And finally the most evolved one, the aeroponic system, in which actually all the nutrients and water are provided in form of mist. So roots are exposed to the mist, which is rich in nutrients required by the plant to ensure the plant growth. The critical part of any hydroponic system is water, which you have to ensure is having a controlled pH, typically from 5.4 going all the way till 6.7. The electrical conductivity of the medium, which has to be around 1.3 to 3.4 more, and nutrients, which include definitely the oxygen, carbon dioxide, nitrogen, NPK as we say, and the micronutrient from zinc to iron. All these nutrients, they act differently in different phases of a plant growth. Whether we are talking about initial growth of the roots, leaf formation, milking or fruiting, different stages you need different nutrients. Hydroponics enable to control that. Second important part is the light. All plants use different part of the spectrum of the light in different stages. From red all the way to violet, at different stages you need different lighting, and again a robust hydroponic system can take care of it. The biggest value of a hydroponic system is definitely one, you increase productivity. For example, in a normal conventional farm, you would be getting close to 30 metric ton of tomatoes per annum. In a vertical farm, per acre would give you close to 350 metric tons per annum. You can have exponential increase in the yields per acre of land in hydroponics. Second, it reduces the usage of water substantially. We are facing severe water challenges across the globe. A typical hydroponic system is able to save between 85 to 95% of water used in agriculture. Third, amount of nutrients which is being put to grow same amount of food. Typically there is saving of between 60 to 75% of nutrients. Fourth, because it is a highly controlled environment where there is a physical barrier for pest to attack crop, the amount of pesticide used is negligible or zero. That means hydroponics gives you food which is safe, with little or no contamination, gives you yield boost, ensures you use less water. So overall, it is a very sustainable manner to take care of food security challenges. On the negative side, the cost of setting up a hydroponic system is very high. But at the same time, while you are reducing the operational cost, you are increasing the capital cost. So if you see a frame of 5 to 15 years, the investment is justified. Another challenge with hydroponic system is not all food which we eat today can be grown using hydroponics. We have been able to take care of microgreens, dark greens, strawberries, tomatoes, those type of crop, while a lot of other crops are still not economically viable to be grown using hydroponics. So definitely there would be balance where we need to understand that can we grow crop which are economically viable using hydroponics close to us, reducing the transportation, reducing the losses, increasing the productivity. So all of those things can be done by smart strategic planning. Since 2004, a lot of companies have been pretty active in this space. We all have heard about planting. They are producing thousands of metric tons of food which can directly be used from the packet in which it is delivered. You don't need to even wash it because it doesn't have any soil, any contamination. As they are grown in a scientific manner, their nutrient content is also far better than a conventionally grown green leafy vegetable. Then we have Infarm. Infarm has been active again across multiple geographies with thousands of farms operational where they have been able to grow fruits and vegetables which are delivered to the end user and consumed in the same manner in which they were delivered. Aerofarms is doing a lot of projects from all the way Middle East to US. While they have been successful in growing various crops, but the highest coverage is for those crops which are used in salads. Aerofarm is doing a big project in UAE as well. Now, when we talk about UAE or Middle East has been a very, very receptive market for vertical farms for a very simple reason. They don't have fertile land, temperatures are not very supportive for agriculture. At the same time, there is a huge water scarcity. That brings me to another company, which is CropOne. CropOne is tied up with Emirates Airlines to again produce food in one of the harshest environment in the world, that is deserts of Gulf. Here I would also like to mention a very interesting company called Vegitech. In fact, I had the opportunity of visiting their facilities as well. They are using technology in multiple scenarios, from semi-controlled farming to controlled farming and to vertical farming. Using right lighting, they've been able to increase productivity substantially even when compared to hydroponics standards. Vegitech is again working in multiple geographies. Then finally, there is Agricool and Bowery. Both are companies which again focus on using advances in hydroponics to produce food which is safe, more sustainably grown, and ensure there is an increased productivity I hope you would have liked today's episode on controlled farming with focus on hydroponics. We at Honeybee are working with various companies and startups in the space to enable them to make world more food secure. Wishing you again a very, very prosperous and happy 2021. Thank you.